The Gnostics regarded their text as symbolic, and that's another thing that separates Gnostic Christianity to its cousin Orthodoxy, if you will, which would include Catholicism and Orthodox,
Mhm.
to which take their text literally, where the Gnostic would take the text symbolically.
Mhm.
Some Gnostics certainly did believe their myths or they believed their writings, certainly. There were different groups, even within Cephean Gnosticism, even within Valentinian school of thought, or even Carpocratians. They had different subgroups and they all had their own interpretation of the text, some regarding this world as a physical prison planet, if you will, or others symbolic for the term in a state of a fallenness, and others believing, say, Yada being a physical being, others believing a symbolic being. So the Gnostic school of thought was vast, but again, they welcomed each other and they were searching for the deeper understanding because the ultimate goal was to be like Christ, but to find it within you, to be that Christ figure, to be a divine child of God, to return to your original spiritual state. And that was a big thing within Cephean promotion, is to return to that original spiritual state. And
Yes. Yes.
then we have in with the replication of the world as so above, as so below. We also find this ancient Egypt.
You're
The
right.
Carpathian school of thoughts also taught of other Christ, just Yeshua or Jesus, Yehoshua, whichever term you prefer, was the greatest of the Christ.
Right.
So they even had figures such as Plato, they made bust of. Even Mary Magdalene was viewed as a feminine Christ, and they would use Yeshua's image to which they would worship as well. Not all would actually worship, rather some would have them as their home and have it as symbolic as figures to be like. So again, the conversations would also vastly differ, and that's pretty cool. So it shows the figure that you can become like, and they were answering, look, there's other people here that have understood this universal truth. It doesn't lie within one religion alone, which is something cool. So it's more of a spiritual philosophy. It's more open-minded. You have breathing room to breathe.
Yeah, and I would say too, in Sethianism, we have the concept of the aeon, the logos, or the aeon, the autogenes. And one thing that I really loved about that concept is, for me personally, I take it symbolic and I take it literal. Like you said, as above, so below. And I think that it's a balance between the two. And the concept of the logos, the concept of all the genes, the aeon Christ is, that isn't specific to the man that we know, Jesus. Jesus was simply the man that we look at, was just simply a vessel that was talking. The Christ would descend upon him and talk through him, and that's why. But that same aeon, for lack of a better word, that same aeon could have went to the people in ancient Mesoamerica, ancient Africa, ancient it's not something that's just simply unique to but I think that it became very unique and very it kind of stuck for some reason with ancient Judea, ancient Roman Judea, in that area and stuff like that, and during that time period, because I feel like that was sort of like the crossroads when human society and human civilization pivoted to what we have been on ever since then. So I think that's one of the things I really like to stress too when it comes to secular Gnosticism is that yeah, we do focus on the man Jesus as a prophet, but the spirit, the logos, the aeon that was inhabiting him, his body, is not him. So we have to make that difference if that makes sense. Whereas Orthodox Christianity, they focus on that Jesus is that the man is the end all be all, and we don't really look at it from in the Sethian view. Yeah.
Well, even in the ancient past, we had such diversities of Jesus the figure. Even within Orthodoxy, there was arguments whether or not Jesus could take a poo. People died over that as well, which is crazy. Gnostics were certainly persecuted as well, just because of their beliefs would be different to what they wanted others to believe, being the public, their subjects. Even Constantine would persecute some of the Gnostics, some he just exiled, some he was sympathetic towards. With many accounts of Roman leaders persecuting the Gnostics, even Muslims as well. So they were always the underdogs of history. It's really like that for anyone that challenges the system of things, anyone that challenges the social norms if they are viewed as corrupt, which certainly were those times. It's now we're able to live in a better time. We have much more equality than what we did in the ancient past. It's only that recently that women were able to vote. And even with Gnostics, they were big on the divine feminine, so they were big on equality. And you find this certainly within Cepheum with the divine feminine. You find it within all Gnostic schools of thought, which is beautiful. So that was something that they were offering back to humanity, going back to the ancient roots, where find even goddesses within ancient traditions, along with their divine masculine counterpart. So it was nothing new. It was bringing back of a ancient culture, their ancient knowledge.
Yes, and definitely within Second Gnosticism, that going back to the goddess tradition and the divine feminine tradition, there the sort of wiping away of the divine feminine, even from Christianity, can be looked at as a literal or a symbolic look at the exile of Sophia or her fall from the Roma. And now she's coming back and she's starting to wake up people to see that, no, listen, the divine feminine plays a part in this story. And because the divine feminine hasn't played a part in this story in so long, you get this schism in society and in the world. It is in the Gnostics were saying the exact same thing. The the material world being a flaw, so to speak, or not something that may have been not a part of like the original plan. We can see that when you separate, because Sophia, she wanted to do something without her male half, so to speak, without her partner. She decided to do something. And because she did it out of her own will, without the balance of her other half, that is what produces the demiurge that, we Yaldabaoth off the, Yahweh, that type of thing. But we can look at that, and I look at that as like, well, we see the same thing in history. Because the divine feminine has been sort of shunned away and we have more of a masculine presence, there's an imbalance. And I think that Gnosticism and the Gnostics were trying to bridge that gap, that no, there we see it in balance. We have to bring that balance back in order for us to and it's just so funny because even within Orthodox Christianity and even Roman Catholicism and stuff like that, you still see the veneration of Mary as the mother of God, and you see not being against Mary Magdalene as a saint. You see that they don't mind having a female or a feminine presence around, but she doesn't really have that same. She isn't really given that same regency and power like she was given amongst the Gnostics, where women can be priests and bishops and deacons and things like that. Like this is a shared thing because we kind of are all in this together, sort of thing. So and I tell people also too, just look at the history and the culture in which these movements sprung out of. A lot of these cultures were patriarchal, so of course you're always going to kind of see a little bit of the as what they say in today, the toxic masculine view of women in the text. We see it in my favorite gospel, the Gospel of Mary, how Peter and the other disciples are always kind of looking at Mary Magdalene like, why? Who are you? Why is he teaching you and not teaching teaching us the secrets and stuff? So we see it. So, and again, there's really nothing new under the sun. So I really love how in history, like you see the same thing, we just see it under a different context.
History certainly repeats itself. And you've done fantastic on this chat. I'll end this one here because we're on 22 minutes now, so where we can upload a union because we're in a limited time on there. If I have to, I can use a part two, it's no biggie, or I can put it on my channel as well, so that's fine. So it's lovely to have your voice here, David, and we'll be seeing more of David. So feel free to learn from David and reach out to him. He has a lot to offer. So spiritually, he's way above being a deacon. So he's already a priest. All Gnostics are already a priest. All Gnostics are already historians and scholars and philosophers. It's been wonderful having you here, David.
Yes, thank you. Like I said, I'm very proud to be a part of the Gnostic Union. And like you said, if you want to reach out and converse and stuff like that, I am willing to do that.
Fantastic. Blessings all.
Thank you.